It's 7:30 in the evening across India. I am Tanvi Taneja. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll bring you the day's big stories from across India and the world. My colleague Caroline Malone is joining me from Washington, DC. Hi, Caroline.
Good morning, Tanvi. It's 9 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. and 3 in the afternoon across Central Europe. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, more from former US President's push for immunity from prosecution. But first, the headlines.
India-UAE signed several MOUs as Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds roadshow with UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Ahmedabad. Gabriel Attal becomes France's youngest Prime Minister as President Emmanuel Macron seeks for a political reset ahead of the European Parliament elections. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken discusses way forward as he meets Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv. And former US President Donald Trump expected in a Washington courtroom as he seeks impunity from charges of interfering with the 2020 election results. Up first, news from India. The country and the United Arab Emirates signed several memorandum of understanding today in the Indian state of Gujarat. Several areas of focus were on priority as part of these MOUs that were signed today in the presence of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the visiting dignitary, the President of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in the Indian state of Gujarat. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan earlier was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor at the Ahmedabad airport in Gujarat. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi warmly received him at the airport. A cultural performance was also organized at the airport in the honor of the visiting dignitary. The UAE President is the chief guest at the 10th Vibrant Gujarat Summit, which will take place in Gujarat on Wednesday. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, held a grand roadshow in Gujarat on Tuesday. A 3-kilometer-long mega roadshow kicked off in the evening after the Indian Prime Minister welcomed the UAE President at the airport. The procession wrapped up at the Indira Bridge connecting Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. A senior police official mentioned that thorough security measures were implemented during the event. So, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 2-day visit to the western Indian state of Gujarat. The Indian Premier, along with President of Mozambique, inaugurated the vibrant Gujarat Global Trade Show this afternoon. A total of 100 countries are participating in this trade show as visiting countries, while 33 countries are joining as partner nations. This time, the trade show will feature 13 halls, each dedicated to various themes, including Make in Gujarat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Around 450 micro, small and medium enterprises units are taking part in the trade show. Vibrant Gujarat Global Trade Show companies are displaying products made from world-class state-of-the-art and technology. Further, e-mobility, startups, MSMEs, blue economy, green energy and smart infrastructure are some of the focus sectors of this trade show. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also released commemorative coin and stamp on the occasion. And tomorrow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 10th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. So a lot happened in Gujarat today. Prime Minister Modi met CEO of DP World, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulaim, and both leaders held discussions on DP World's plans to further bolster investment in India, especially pertaining to creating sustainable, green and energy-efficient ports and world-class sustainable logistic infrastructure.
was an excellent meeting. This man is amazing. His energy, his vision is what drives us and inspires us. It was very inspiring. We discussed about our investment in India, expanding it. We are acquiring industrial lands. We are going to put manufacturing ourselves. We will invest in manufacturing in various areas in India. We are actually going to move some of the high-tech industry somewhere where we have today to India, because India has better facilities, better engineers, global reach. India's reputation as a market and as a trade partner is well respected around the world.
Across continents in the United States, Republican frontrunner for the presidential elections, Donald Trump is expected in a Washington courtroom as he seeks impunity from charges of interfering with the 2020 election results. My colleague Caroline Malone will be joining me shortly from Washington, D.C. For now, let's move on in DD India Global and tell you more about how Donald Trump will face another legal reckoning today. So Republican frontrunner Donald Trump is going to seek impunity in a Washington courtroom today, but we will be joined by Caroline Malone, who will be filling us with the details on Trump's court appearance. Now let's talk about the India-Maldives row. Now, India's assistance to the Maldives encompasses a gamut of sectors like defense, education, healthcare and infrastructure. India was among the first nations to establish diplomatic relations with the island nation after the Maldives gained independence in 1965 and assisted the country during the 1988 coup attempt. We now take a look at how India has played Maldives' perfect neighbor for decades.
Amidst the India-Maldives diplomatic row, rift has widened in the political spectrum. Reports say several Maldivian opposition leaders have demanded newly elected Maldivian President Mohammad Muizzu's government to resign over comments about PM Modi. Sources say Maldives MP Ali Azim even asked MDP or Maldivian Democratic Party, the largest opposition party, to initiate a vote of no confidence. India has always stood by Maldives in its good and bad times, from pharmaceutical to defense to education to healthcare to infrastructure. New Delhi has adopted a flexible and accommodating approach in meeting Maldivian requirements. In 2018, PM Modi also attended the swearing-in ceremony of then-President Ibrahim Solih. India's humanitarian assistance to Maldives. India was the first to assist during the water crisis in Malé in December 2014. India had provided pollution dispersant to MNDF Coast Guard in 2016. In January 2020, India's swift dispatch of 30,000 doses of measles vaccine prevented an outbreak in the Maldives. India gave assistance of $250 million to Maldives for economic impact of COVID-19. Maldives became the first country to receive as gift 100,000 doses of India-manufactured vaccines with 96 hours of countrywide rollout. India is engaged in a host of infrastructure and development projects in Maldives, ranging from airports at Hanimadu and Gan Island, the Greater Malé Connectivity Project, development of Guli Falhu Port. The biggest project India is presently carrying out in Maldives is the Greater Malé Connectivity Project. Let's understand how India contributes to the tourism industry. In 2018, India was the fifth largest source of tourist arrivals in Maldives with around 6.1%, which is over 90,474 market share. In 2019, India reached the second spot with almost double the number of arrivals compared to 2018. In the pandemic-hit 2020, India was the largest source market for the Maldives with nearly 63,000 Indians visiting Maldives. In 2021 and 2022, India continued as the top market with over 2.91 lakh and 2.41 lakh Indian tourist arrivals. In 2023, India with 1,93,693 tourist arrivals is the second leading source market. In March 2022, India and Maldives agreed for an open skies arrangement to further improve connectivity. Trade between India and Maldives has grown by 4 times since India's PM Narendra Modi assumed office in 2014. In 2022, The total trade volume was USD 501.82 million compared to USD 173.50 million in 2014. The bilateral trade had crossed the USD 300 million mark for the first time in 2021, making India its third largest trade partner. Abhishek Mahajan reporting for DD India.
And now we go over live to my colleague Caroline Malone in Washington, D.C. She gives us more on Donald Trump's expected court appearance today and other stories making headlines around the world. Caroline, over to you.
Well, that's right. This is yet another chance, really, for Donald Trump to appeal to voters. He's still leading Republican polls as the likely candidate for president, but he's expected to appear in federal court as they consider whether he is immune from charges of interfering with the 2020 election results. A lower court has already ruled that Trump is not immune from prosecution. The former president has denied all wrongdoing and denounced the charges as a persecution of a political opponent. Well, Trump is also in the last few days of campaigning before the Iowa caucus, in which he's up against rivals such as Nikki Haley for the Republican vote. The US Department of Labor on Tuesday issued a final ruling that will force companies to treat some workers as employees rather than less expensive independent contractors. It replaces a regulation by Republican former President Trump's administration that had made it easier to classify workers as independent contractors. The rule is expected to increase labor costs for industries that rely on contractors and freelancers and is due to take effect from March the 11th. At least 2,000 people have resumed their march northward in Mexico towards the US border. Many of them migrants who include families with children are from Central America and countries such as Venezuela. They say they've been misled by Mexican immigration officials. A surge in migration was top of the agenda when Secretary of State Antony Blinken and other senior US officials visited Mexico last month, seeking increased efforts to curb the flow of migrants. Ecuador has declared a state of emergency for 60 days after their most wanted prisoner, the leader of the Los Choneros criminal group, disappeared from the jail where he was being held. Adolfo Macias was serving a 34-year sentence. Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa has launched an operation to locate him. It's the first big security test for Noboa, a young businessman who took office in November. He promised to crack down on soaring levels of violence in the South American country.
He dado disposiciones claras y precisas.
I have given clear and precise instructions to military and police commanders to intervene in controlling prisons. I have just signed the state of exception decree so that the armed forces have full political and legal backing in their actions. I call on the citizens, because this is everyone's fight, and to show their support, that things must change in the country and that our laws are not enough to live in peace. There is no room for opportunistic politicians to seek advantage amid a prison security crisis. We will not negotiate with terrorists, nor will we rest until we return peace to all Ecuadorians.
Con terroristas, ni descansaremos.
Well, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has met the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv on Tuesday in a bid to prevent the Israel-Hamas conflict from spreading further. Earlier in the day, Blinken met Israeli President Isaac Herzog. During the meeting, Herzog said that Israel is abiding by international law in its effort to eliminate Hamas from Gaza.
We are alerting, we are calling, we are showing, we are sending leaflets, we are using all the means that international law enables us in order to move out people so that we can unravel this huge city of terror underneath, in people's homes, living rooms and bedrooms, mosques and shops and schools. Yesterday we unraveled a huge factory of terror underneath a humanitarian corridor which Israel is employing in order to help the civilians of Gaza.
Well, meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Blinken has said that his visit offers a chance to relay feedback to Israeli officials from other regional leaders on the conflict.
I've just come from a number of countries in the region, Turkey, Greece, Jordan, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and I want to be able to share some of what I heard from those leaders with the President, as well as with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet later today. And of course, we'll have an opportunity to sit with the families of some of the hostages and discuss our relentless efforts to bring everyone home and back with their families. And there's lots to talk about, in particular, about the way forward.
Well, 3 Hezbollah fighters were reportedly killed on Tuesday in a targeted strike on their vehicle in the south of Lebanon. Meanwhile, Hezbollah is said to have initiated an attack on an army base in northern Israel using explosive drones, citing this as part of its retaliation to recent Israeli assassinations against the group in Israel. Well, on Monday, Israel targeted and killed a high-ranking Hezbollah commander in a strike in southern Lebanon. Well, moving on, French President Emmanuel Macron has appointed 34-year-old Education Minister Gabriel Attal to be the new Prime Minister on Tuesday. Macron is seeking to breathe new life into his second mandate ahead of European Parliament elections. Attal, a close Macron ally, became a household name as a government spokesperson during the COVID-19 pandemic. He will replace outgoing Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne. DD India's Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
The official confirmation, a press statement put out by the French presidency simply saying in one line, the President of the Republic has named Gabriel Attal as Prime Minister and he will then be in charge of forming a government. So that will be the first job for the new Prime Minister, Gabriel Attal, the former Education Minister. He becomes the youngest French Prime Minister in modern French history at just the age of 34. Elizabeth Borne was Prime Minister up until Monday. She was appointed by President Emmanuel Macron in May 2022, but due to the crisis in December related to the immigration law that eventually got passed by lawmakers, many people believe that Emmanuel Macron thought it was time for a reset, a new year, a new Prime Minister, and there have been a lot of discussions over the past week or so about who it might be, possible reshuffle coming later this week, but we now have the confirmation in the last couple of minutes that it is going to be Gabriel Attal, the new French Prime Minister. Emmanuel Macron is facing low opinion ratings, his approval ratings below Marine Le Pen. She herself, the far-right leader of the National Rally Party, has been seen in a couple of surveys over the Christmas and holiday period as perhaps actually more responsible, better placed to be able to deal with some of the national issues facing the country at the moment than the President, Emmanuel Macron. Now, he is not in any danger at the moment of facing any elections. He has his current term until 2027, but he is responsible for naming prime ministers, and by trying to re-energise his government and name a new prime minister with new ministers to come later this week, it is seen as trying to regain the initiative. Also, by focusing on how to build coalitions within Parliament. Emmanuel Macron's party does not have a majority of lawmakers. After the election in 2022, it is relying on the support of other parties to pass legislation. Infamously, in December, the far-right National Rally Party believed that the immigration law was hard right enough for them to be able to support the government's position. That was particularly embarrassing. Emmanuel Macron wants to be able to avoid that in future.
Well, to Russia now, and the Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu has emphasised that a primary objective for the country is to uphold an elevated combat readiness of Russia's nuclear capabilities.
Given the nature of military threats and military and political risks, the Supreme Commander-in-Chief has set us a number of priority and systemic tasks. One of the key tasks is to maintain the highest level of readiness of the nuclear triad, which ensures the strategic balance in the world.
Well, that's it from me here in Washington. Back to you in the studio, Tanvi.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Caroline Malone joining us all from Washington, D.C. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on the show. Taiwan issues alert after a Chinese rocket carrying a satellite flew over the southern part of the island. Taiwan tells Beijing to stop economic coercion as a trade policy. European Union's climate scientists say year 2023 was the planet's hottest on record and likely the world's warmest in the last 100,000 years.
We bring to you the legendary city of Ayodhya and tell you what makes Ayodhya everything that has got to do with the land of Lord Ram.
यहाँ रग रग में हर जगह राम ही है। सनातन धर्म के लिए तो गौरव की बात है।
कण कण में भी भगवान राम की सत्ता का एहसास हमें होता है यदि हम लोग ध्यान से उसका अवलोकन करें। आज भी होता है।
This is 10th century old Hanumangadi temple.
यहाँ हनुमान जी महाराज राजा के रूप में बैठे हैं। भारत की संस्कार, संस्कृति मठ से, मंदिर से, साधु से, संत से, ऋषि से, मुनि से, महात्मा से जुड़ा हुआ है।
ये विष्णु का मस्तक है, तो यहाँ पे हर कण पावन है। यहाँ
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, who is on a visit to the United Kingdom, was given full ceremony Guard of Honour at the Horse Guards Parade Grounds in London on Tuesday. There was a special parade by the British Army's No. 7 Company Coldstream Guards and the band of the Irish Guards. The Indian Defence Minister will hold a bilateral meeting with his UK counterpart, Secretary of State for Defence Grant Shapps. Rajnath Singh is also expected to call on UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. The Defence Minister also paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at his statue at Tavistock in London. Now, Vice President of World Meteorological Department Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra has said that India is testing artificial intelligence to build climate models to improve weather forecasting as torrential rains, floods and droughts proliferate across this vast country. The India Meteorological Department, IMD, will commemorate 150 years of its inception on 15th of January this year. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has more.
Joining me is Director General of IMD, Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra, to talk about the 150 years of IMD's journey. Sir, it's been an honor. It's 150 years, but we need to know from you, in the present scenario, where artificial intelligence is the buzzword, how is IMD going about it? How is IMD trying to get AI into its modeling?
Yeah, IMD goes with the latest technology. IMD is also adopting the artificial intelligence-based various tools and technology. For this purpose, we have come up with the expert groups within IMD, within Ministry of Earth Sciences, and also in collaboration with IITs, NITs, and other academic R&D institutes. I am sure within the next 5 years, the AI-based tools and technique will complement the numerical weather prediction models in the Ministry of Earth Sciences to convert entire data into value system and hence to provide better services.
I need to also ask you how things are moving with IMD's 150-year celebration. Are you guys launching an app or something which can give the common man all the information about weather forecasting on their mobile?
With the improvement of forecast accuracy by about 50% in the next 5 years compared to previous 5 years, and weather and climate being utilized by each and every socio-economic sector, we are going to launch a new mobile app, Mausam, on 15 January, which will provide the information with respect to all types of severe weather, with respect to all types of socio-economic applications, and also in all types of local languages, so as to enable each person, each household to utilize our informations and let them be resilient from the weather disasters and be a weather smart and climate ready individual in the country.
You gave a word for that. There is a new word that you guys have coined, isn't it?
Yeah, we have the option. We have the objective that we should reach out to each and every individual with a slogan: Har Har Mausam, Har Ghar Mausam.
Har Har Mausam, Har Ghar Mausam. This is the new slogan from IMD, and they are working day and night to make sure that all the information is collaborated and provided to the common man and taking this new India forward in a new era. With camera person Loknath, this is Pushpa Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Taiwanese authorities today issued an alarm for the entire island, stating that a Chinese satellite had passed over the airspace over South Taiwan. On the other hand, China's defense ministry dismissed allegations of interference and accused Taiwan of trying to manipulate their elections. Further, Taiwan's government on Tuesday called on China to stop its economic coercion and efforts to interfere in Taiwan's election after Beijing threatened to take new trade measures against the island nation. And now we take a look at what else is happening across the world. The year 2023 was officially the world's hottest year on record. European Union scientists confirmed this on Tuesday. Temperatures worldwide were 1.48 degrees Celsius higher than they were in the second half of the 19th century. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's law to stop challenges against deporting asylum seekers to Rwanda faces a renewed parliamentary discussion next week, following Sunak's successful handling of revolt by dozens of his lawmakers during the first parliamentary vote. After a series of earthquakes, up to 7.6 magnitude struck Ishikawa in Japan last week. The death toll due to these earthquakes has risen to 202. The earthquake had also caused multiple roads to fracture, exacerbating the traffic disruptions. Now, India's GMR Airports Infrastructure Limited and Aerospace Engineering Limited is all set to revolutionize the aircraft maintenance engineering landscape in India. The GMR School of Aviation will be launched in the Indian city of Hyderabad shortly.
India is a growing market, and today we see this is the third largest market after US and China. To meet the growing demand, there is a need for the skilled manpower being available to support the airline industry and aviation in general. And towards that, the GMR School of Aviation is a unique school set up to a global standard for the first time in this part of the world, where we will be offering basic ab initio course for the students who are very passionate in aviation in the aircraft maintenance engineering field, accredited to the DGCA India as well as EASA.
Up next, an update on India's outreach campaign, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. It is being undertaken across the country with the aim to inform people about the Government of India's welfare measures by ensuring that their benefits reach their targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra has reached the southern city of Chennai in Indian state of Tamil Nadu. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal highlighted on the Yatra's objective, which is to ensure the widespread reach of all central government schemes. And now we take you to a saloon in China where 99-year-old philanthropist Chao Peng is dedicating his life to using music to awaken the minds of children with autism in the past 15 years. It has led to the creation of the Angel Music Saloon, where children are taught to play musical instruments, dance and perform. So music is treating autism. That's it in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram at DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
Happy birthday, my dear.